Okay, let me now introduce our director, Cheuk Wah-chi, as well as Jacqueline Liu, our producer, to actually join us. And while while you're writing out your very intelligent questions, I will just start with a few very simple things I would like to know is when was this film being made? Because clearly it has to do with the medical staff, and we've just gone through 3 years of pandemic. What happened, or how did you film it? When did you film it?
Hello, thank you for staying. It was filmed 2 years ago. It was indeed during COVID fifth wave.
The fifth wave.
Yeah, of COVID. So that it was quite serious because we couldn't get our fire station. We had some location firmed, but then they changed their mind. So it was not until during the Chinese New Year, and all of a sudden we got this fire station. Because I actually planned to shoot in some weird location to replace the real fire station. But then, yeah, fire station actually helped us a lot. Yeah.
So this must have been quite a difficult period.
It was really rushy, especially to the producer, because we have to change the location, which means changing the schedule constantly.
And producer,
and
you
also
want to
some
add?
of the
Yeah.
locations they are not allowed to have too many people gather at one area, and some of the you can see some of the locations like household. Most of the time is hard to get, and during pandemic is even harder.
Oh yeah, I remember, because I actually did not want to have too much information about COVID because it's unrelated to the story itself. So I don't want to see any people with mask on. But then the problem is when I have a wide shot in Hong Kong, because we have to wear a mask, otherwise
Yes.
otherwise what will happen? We will go to jail.
Yes, you will go to jail.
Penalty,
Something like that,
penalty,
something like that.
penalty.
Penalty, yeah, jail for my wallet. So anyway, yeah, so I can't have wide shot because there's too many people wearing masks. Not until the very last shot we just let go. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay, my other question is, and maybe it overlaps with some of you, where did you get this amazing young actress? Where
Which
did you
one?
get that 8-year-old girl?
Oh, the 8 year girl.
Where did you get
Oh,
her?
you
I
guys
want to
love
just, I want to
her.
like,
Thank
hug her.
you. Her real name is So. We actually cast a lot of children actors and actresses. And every time I ask them the same question, and is that okay? Now someone is unhappy, especially whoever brings you here for the casting, say their mother or even their household maid, their father, whoever. Now this person is unhappy, and what will you do? Um, and then I met So because she is the only person who just walked towards her mom because her mom brought her to the casting and just look into her mom's eyes without saying anything. And I was thinking, oh my god, you are my Bonnie. Yeah, she's like really using her heart to communicate with people. And there's so many scenes that I did not expect the little actress to cry, but then she really broke into tears. And then I asked her, "Why are you crying?" She said, because he isn't happy." They're talking about Gu Tianlong, Louis Koo isn't happy in the movie. So yeah, I really really love her. Mm.
And even we cut the camera, she's still crying. I remember.
You said cut, and then she
Yes,
kept on crying. She couldn't
because
stop.
she's still having that emotions, and she's in that mood.
Yeah, it's very
of
sensitive girl.
expressions.
True.
Wow. Wow. Okay, I think it's time for me to start collecting cards, if there are any cards that are written. I see a little mini stack of them. Just start giving me the first round. Okay, another question for you is that you've had the two. Louis Koo is Louis Koo. You all saw him today on stage, but the Neo as well as Yunai Lam. These are two Angela, right? They are two very talented young generation of actors in Hong Kong. Maybe you want to just share something about what's happening now with this sort of younger generation, because you have Louis Koo and various other people of his generation that are like big stars. But how about the rising generation? I mean, how did they get there? How did they get their first training? I mean, how did they come into the film business, for example?
The original idea of the story is not only about one single protagonist, but different generation towards the same scenario. So I had this driver, 60 something years old, waiting to retire, and then Gu Tinlok's the protagonist, and then a 20ish man or young woman. And then I started to build up this character, and then I actually couldn't figure out who will the actor be. And then I met Neo. Neo is a very stubborn guy. Yao Hoksao, so stubborn, this guy. And I was thinking, oh my god, you're exactly like that character. Sometimes I talk to him, he couldn't listen. Just keep on saying his own point. But he is very opinionated. He really has his own plan, very result-oriented guy. So it's actually a typecast. And he acted so well because he is always censoring himself. He does not like anything banal. Say if he saw some movie or some actors did this in a movie, he does not want to do the same thing. So yeah, he's very keen to create a character. And then Angela Yun. Angela Yun is the 抽好武戏.
Yes, I know the
It's a
amount of
抽好武戏.
swearing is amazing. 抽好,
Yeah, 抽好武戏. I think the working in hospital is it's under pressure, obviously. So she didn't did quite well after she received the script, because we actually did some so-called coach training, teaching the acting teacher or something like that to her, but she couldn't figure out how to express everything in a really direct way, because this character Miffy basically is the only person who's so direct, and she would be constantly confronting you. So I really need that factor in her show. And then she actually figure out how to say 抽好 in a very direct way, and I think she put a lot of effort, to be ready to really open her heart in front of the camera, because she was relatively young at that time. Yeah, it was way before the 大楼美城.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, she was
because,
quite fresh.
I think she has done quite a few more very good Hong Kong local films lately.
Yeah, it's after this.
After
So
this.
yeah, she
Okay.
was really fresh.
Good. Thank you for an entire stack of too many questions to fill the next 15 minutes that we have. But I have one that is actually interesting. See, I believe that there are quite a lot of Hong Kong people that are now here in the audience. Somebody asks, any reason you want to use the 1980s song 珍重 to close the film? That beautiful Hong Kong canto pop song that
Sharp
ends
question.
the film.
I put the song inside, and then I was thinking, it's to be confirmed. I'll get another song. It will be a better one. But then after 1.5 years, that song still stick to that scene. I think it's quite ironic because that is a song about immigration phenomenon in the late 80s, 90s. So it's like the can I say hobby of Hong Kong people that constantly thinking. I don't mean a hobby, but it's really what's in their blood. They're all constantly thinking or planning to leave or to stay. No, so I think it's really ironic because it's an old song. We're talking about the same thing. And I remember when I was young, when I was in primary school, there was a semester after the summer holiday. I went back to school, and 1/4 of my classmates are gone without even saying goodbye. They just left to Australia, New Zealand, San Francisco. I couldn't contact them not until 10 years later. So there were so many friendships without any closure. So I think these years in Hong Kong, there will be the same kind of story over and over again in history. So yeah, that's why that song.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
we have a number of questions that are indeed overlapping, which actually follows with the 1980s song, is the theme of immigration and immigration. It's here. It refers to, somebody said, it refers to the idea of the story of Maser, okay, as in Louis Koo's character, of a person who is actually sort of middle class in Hong Kong, and yet this immigration for his daughter seems to be something that is very much a thread in this film. So you want to say something more about, why this theme is in there, or is it deliberate, or it's just part of, as what you said, part of the hobby or DNA of Hong Kong people?
This theme was added, I think, 3 or 4 years before the shooting. I've started. Well, I have been written the script for 6 years, and after 2 years, I just suddenly have this concept in my mind, and it's that maybe this guy who's supposed to save people has to choose if he stay or not, and the scenario of ambulance men in Hong Kong is that you can't be the same. You can't work as an EMT without passing any tests. So maybe he has to make a really big choice, and especially because it's what he good at, and also what he love. So I think this guy, Gu Tinlok, the character, is really under pressure because it's not only for the daughter, but the scenario confront himself. What if when you're 40ish or even 50, and then whatever you know or your experience is declared useless? So yeah, that's why, and because there are so many cases, it's all about love and death. I don't know. I just feel that these two topics can be entwined together. I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you. And then another question. I really am trying as much as I can to go through this. Somebody in the audience worked as a paramedic in New York for 3 years and wants to commend and praise you for the accuracy of the medical and the technical
Really?
details.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
the question now is that how did you do it? Do you have training at the fire department and you have medical directors on site?
We have consultants. Yes.
Yeah, we have consultants, of course. I don't know. I actually read a lot of books about paramedics, and in fact, the first research book is paramedics in USA. I actually studied like the paramedics in different country. Of course, I didn't study the procedure. But I think after the movie, we sort of know how to use those machines. Sort of knows. Yeah, and Neo Yang also has to go through lots of training as well.
And also the driver.
Yeah, and the driver.
And the driver, that's how.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pun
Chan
Chan.
Chan.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, now another question. Very good. Why is the ending left open-ended?
Isn't it better?
I think that's a great answer. I think, and that's sufficient. Anybody else wants to hear more? Maybe elaborate a little bit.
um, because Song Yun Tou Zhong, the Chinese movie title, it's basically something on the road. it's a journey, and it's a part of Ma Ziyip and Wong Wai's journey, and this car still have to roll. No, they still have to go on the road, and you will never know what will happen later. So I don't want to seal it. I don't want to close the story. I wanted to make it open and big. Me personally, I wanted to have a feeling towards this era, this era, this Hong Kong. So that's why. mm,
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is your message about Hong Kong. I have a number of people asking, what message do you want to send to the audience about Hong Kong as a place?
Um, I think it shows a lot about the love of us to the city. There are so many shots that were not supposed to be in the movie. We were just driving around the city and keep on shooting because digital. And then we added them out and we found out that, oh my god, I love this bridge, I love this guy, I actually love that building, and then I actually put them inside. And after all, I think this movie has this little motif. It's about trauma. So I think, especially during COVID and the recent scenario of Hong Kong, there's so many traumas, and maybe confronting the trauma, it's a way to be healed. Maybe.
Good. Well, another question is, was there a real story behind this movie? Or did you just make up this entire story yourself? So the idea of why ambulance man? Any reality to go with it?
Oh, you actually made it up. Should have made it. That was a little personal story about why I started to do research about EMT, and it's quite personal. Okay, it's quite embarrassing and it's quite heavy. It was when I was 20 something year old. My mother died, and I attempted commit suicide because I miss her so much. And then I move on. I basically move on. And then a few years later, almost 8 years later, I start to have my little career on the side, and it's being a stand-up comedian. And then I announced my show, and that stand-up show is called Happy Birthday to Me, because it was on my birthday. And then there was a person who I didn't know. He left a comment saying that I'm so glad that you did not die. And then I click inside, who are you? It's a stranger. And then I ask him, may I know, what do you mean? And then he said, I was actually the ambulance man who went to your home and sent you to the hospital. Yeah, when I was 20 something year old. And then I feel quite strange because I can remember the face of my doctor and the nurses vividly, but I had no memory about the ambulance and these guys. And then on that birthday, I invite him to my stand-up show. He said, happy birthday, and then give me this little present, and it's an ambulance, a little figure. And then I put it on my desk and started to think, what happened inside this car? What happened to these people? And if they are constantly under pressure, if there are so many trauma, tragedy they witness in their job, how do they how do they move on? How do they get over it? Because ambulance man is quite different. I think most of the people, they work in high pressure, under pressure. Most of the people, they don't have a cozy job. But ambulance men, it's they have to they have to digest their own feelings so much, because they couldn't just tell their family member what have they witnessed today. You know, oh, I saw someone died. You won't do that, right? So they actually preserve them to themselves. And I started to like really do research about emblems, man.
Thank you. We have only about 3 more minutes, so I'm going to do 2 very quick questions. We have one audience member from Vietnam and is very interested to know, future productions in Southeast Asia, because I know that One Cool has done many things. So maybe Jack can say a little bit more about, the One Cool plans. And then I have one final question, which is going to be really touching for everyone. I'll keep that later. Jack, you asked that first.
Oh, okay. One Cool now is 10 years old. I joined the company like 8 years ago. So we keep doing Hong Kong local films, and at its early stage, we also have co-productions with China. But in recent years or after pandemic, it's getting less co-productions with China, but we do co-productions within Asia. So we have office. Originally, we start the first office in Bangkok. It's a post-production office, and then it's spin off to other Southeast Asia area, including Malaysia, and we also have a branch office in Taiwan, and we plan to do more, and we aim to, especially I think after like the short speech from my boss earlier, he want to do something not just for Hong Kong audience, also for international audience, and do more projects that's close to audience hearts.
Thank you.
That's
One
about
Cool
it.
empire.
Empire. Okay, now we touch on a question about the heart. This is, whoever it is really wonderful. This is a final question. If Hong Kong were a person, what would you say to him or her now? Beautiful final question. Thank you. Make it short. Make it short.
I did not know I love you this much. I love you, Hong Kong.
It's beautiful. I did not know I love you this much. Jack,
Hang in there.
hang in there. Okay, well, thank you very much. Good night. And congratulations again to our director and producer.